must be seen in the context that the mainstay of the mines was and still is cheap labor, cheap black labor. A typical day as a miner at Lone Min Mine can be characterized as such. I quote, "Every single day the drill operators are expected to drill through 30 meters of rock. His allocation is 10 meters every shift. The tunnel is only about 3.3 meters tall, and so he has to squat and point the heavy drill into the rock and hold it as steadily as he can as it thumbs up away. He does this for 8 hours per shift in stifling heat, surrounded only by the din of the drill and the occasional presence of a shovel boy who shifts the broken rock that pile at his feet."
Dr. Motshekga said a lot had been said about the tragic incident at the mine, with lots of political opportunistic comments in the media. He cautioned against quick fix solutions to a very complex situation.
This inquiry must be able to give us a comprehensive understanding of how we descended into such anarchy and how we move forward. Ours is not to apportion blame on the parties involved, but we should be worried that 18 years after achieving democracy and laying to rest the ghost of apartheid, we could so easily regress into possibly the worst tragedy since the end of apartheid.
Members of political parties questioned the way in which the police had responded to the protest at Marikana. The leader of the opposition, Lindiwe Mazibuko, said the tragedy could have and should have been prevented.
Its escalation speaks of a lack of top-level leadership and of ministerial accountability. The Judicial Commission must therefore be established immediately with precise terms of reference, and it must not at any point be downgraded to an internal inquiry. The Commission must specifically establish who authorized the use of live ammunition on the striking workers within the context of how the South African Police Service manages violent strikes. Whoever authorized the use of live ammunition must be held accountable. It must also be revealed on what, if any, intelligence the planning was conducted, and if the National Police Commissioner, Ria Pierre, exercised appropriate judgment and leadership. At what point did she intervene? The Commission must also carefully examine the conduct and the role of the Minister of Police, the Honourable Nathi Mthethwa. At what point did he intervene? In most democracies, a crisis of this magnitude would have immediately precipitated the resignation of the minister and, in many cases, the fall of the government. The DA is concerned that no one in this government seems to be assuming political responsibility for this massacre. We need accountability now.
The president of the Congress of the People, who had led a delegation of opposition parties to Marikana on Monday, agreed with the DA that the massacre could have been avoided. He said the way in which the police reacted to the threat could be taken back to the time in 2010 when the president changed the police from a service to a force with military ranks.
I must ask the question,
order, member,
in this country in which the Constitution does not allow the death sentence, who is this authority who had the right to say to the police, shoot with live ammunition that was definitely going to take life? Who is this authority? Was it the president? Was it the Minister of Police? Was it the commander of who was this person who is above the Constitution, who had the authority to decide that this right to life will be suspended today for this moment, and therefore shoot? I didn't see water cannons. I didn't see tear gas. I didn't see rubber bullets. But live ammunition was unleashed on the people there.
Members,
it was unleashed on the people. So this question must be answered. Who had the authority to waive the right of the people to life, and therefore to mow down those numbers of people that were slaughtered on that day there? Where did we get the authority to change these titles of people, to prepare these young people in a manner in which could only have resulted in this outcome. So we must also ask the question, how many of the striking workers had machine guns? How many of them had even the handguns? How many? And then ask how many live guns were shot at these people. Many of us have gone through those situations times without number. Times without number. And we thought that this constitution that we have will prevent this thing. Never again that would we do this.
A range of issues were raised by political parties participating in the debate. Velapindlovu of the IFP said the triangle that should be formed between employer, employees and workers' representatives did not exist at the mine.
Mine management must take most of the blame of the strategy. They failed to realize that the workers wanted to deal with the issues affecting them every minute of their day, yet they failed to engage workers fully. How dare the employer give the ultimatum of the workers to return to work when their appeal still mourning, and others are still in hospital, and others are still in custody? Police are at fault because they were used by the mine management to solve their problem instead of protecting both sides. I hope that the workers have now learned that negotiation is the key to success.
Our collective psyche has been wounded, and we must use this as an opportunity to ask some hard questions about our society as a whole. And Speaker, some of those questions, such as whether the police are fully trained by means of methods to deal with situations where big crowds are involved by using, and I would like to emphasize, by using water cannons, shields or rubber bullets instead of live ammunition. Is it necessary to go on strike with knives, guns and pangas? Should it have reached a point where the police have to open fire and use strong arm tactics in line with the dangerous shoot to kill mentality?
However, Marikana massacre type incidents are here to stay unless we do away with the deployment of people with no professional police background to senior subs levels to command juniors with military training. Perhaps it is time this House to review the mechanism of civilian oversight in SABC. Should we not confine civilian oversight to the office of the minister and let the experienced police personnel run the SABC? Another area of concern is the proximity of certain trade unions to the ruling party and the deployments of ruling party senior individuals to the private sector that have compromised the lone mean workers.
It surely cannot be correct that mining communities such as those in Marikana and other mining areas should see prosperity on conspicuous consumption by companies and mining bosses whilst they continue to experience poverty. The mining must redouble efforts in the course of good social and labor programs to ensure that this happens. We call on the entire mining industry to go beyond dealing with us as a mere regulator towards a situation where they themselves take initiative in being highly visible and innovating in addressing the socio-economic issues in the mining and surrounding communities. Transparency should be the order of the day. These communities can be the ones who do the actual peer review of the situation. If they are unhappy, the industry is also equally so. So if we all can really work together in a spirit of collaboration and fairness with minimal recrimination, we can use this tragedy to undo many of the wrong practices that still marks the mining industry.
Musioua Lekota should not be the one to point fingers, says Minister Shabangu. But more about that after the break. Stay with us.